Good morning and welcome, and thank you for being here. Today's hearing is entitled Continuing to Deliver, an examination of the Postal Service's current financial crisis and its future viability. The chair, ranking members of both the full committee and the subcommittee will each have 5 minutes to make opening statements, and all members will have 3 days to submit statements for the record. I now yield myself 5 minutes to make an opening statement. I'd like to thank Chairman Ed Towns for agreeing to hold today's joint hearing, which goes to show that he also recognizes the critical state of affairs currently confronting the United States Postal Service. Just as an aside, Ed had a death in the family, and he was not able to chair today. It was a last-minute change, but our prayers are with his family. As chair of the subcommittee with oversight jurisdiction over the Postal Service, I continue to be quite concerned about the recent financial and operational challenges that have caused one of our nation's most robust and fully solvent public entities to end the past 3 consecutive fiscal years in the red, cumulatively to the tune of nearly $12 billion. It is no secret that much of the Postal Service's recent financial woes stem from dramatic declines in mail volume and corresponding revenue losses, which are attributable to increased diversion to new modes of communication, as well as the nationwide economic downturn and, in some ways, statutorily imposed benefit obligations, such as the pre-funding of future retiree health costs. And if projections for this year's end hold true, the Postal Service could stand to lose, in addition, $7 billion. While we have all known for quite some time the sources of many of the Postal Service's problems, what's encouraging about today's hearing is that it's being convened to specifically discuss suggested solutions for addressing what many have called an unsustainable business model in need of urgent attention and reform. I've had a chance to review both the Postal Service's action plan for the future, as well as the recently released GAO report on strategies and options to facilitate progress towards financial viability. And I commend both of those entities for your thorough analysis. Given the Postal Service's currently dire situation, both of these reports rightfully touch on some critical and highly controversial issues, such as calling for major changes in the frequency of mail delivery, statutory pricing, facility and network optimization, and employee compensation and benefits. I think we all get the fact that the difficult times will require some difficult decisions to be made, and the impact of some of these decisions will more than likely fall heavily across the board, affecting the Postal Service, its customers, employees, stakeholders, and others. While at the moment there may not be exactly a consensus on what needs to be done to bring about the financial recovery of the Postal Service, the one thing we believe we are all in agreement on is that doing nothing is no longer a viable option. The keystone of a $1.2 trillion mailing industry and the employer of nearly 700,000 Americans, the solvency and long-term operation of the United States Postal Service is essential to our national economy and to our way of life, which is why I'm glad that today's hearing gives us an opportunity to lay everything from the value of mail nowadays to the debate over the Postal Service's civil service retirement system out on the table for deliberation and consideration. I appreciate today's witnesses for being here with us this morning to offer their suggested strategies on how best to increase revenue, reduce costs, and improve efficiency going forward in order to help ensure the future financial viability of the Postal Service. Again, I'd like to thank the Chairman, Mr. Towns, for agreeing to hold this joint hearing, and I look forward to an informative discussion this morning. On our first panel, we will hear from Postal Service and GAO on their reports, while our second panel will discuss the impact of these recommendations and the CSRS pension issues. Again, I thank all of our witnesses for appearing today, and I look forward to their testimony.